We'll call the meeting to order. First item on the agenda will be introductions. I'll start, I guess. I'm Jean Lancaster. Lived here about almost 45 years. I'm the chairman of the library trustees as well as on the planning board, and we those to look into building a new library, I guess.
Roger Carlin, I'm on the Board of Trustees, been in town for 10 years, and Farmington for 10 years before that, but love this town and wanted to improve all the time.
I'm Sheila Levitt and I've lived here since 2017, and I'm from Farmington originally, lived there all the rest of my life. And I'm anxious to see what we can do with the new library. I think it would be great.
Yep, Jeffrey Jones, I've lived here for 48 years on the fire department for the same amount of time. And I'm ready to build a library.
I'm Lindsay Lynch. I've been in Norridgewock since '08. I am the representative from your select board, which I've been on for 6 years. No, yeah, I think maybe 6 years I've been there. So I'm excited to see kind of where this board goes and all that kind of comes with it.
I'm Richard Lavelle, I'm the town manager, so I'm actually a member of this committee. And I've been here for just about 10 years, and pretty much while I still on your committee, I am largely your admin support.
I'm Deanna Meservey. Wow, I've only been here for 5 years, sounds not as much as everybody else, but I am a homeschool mom, so I'm very interested in seeing where our library is.
I didn't really mean to start off with how many years I lived there. I wasn't trying to think for a second. I'm retired, so it's not like I've got where I work or whatever, so it's kind of. Okay. Wait for Richard.
Do we have an agenda? And I just didn't have the.
Sure.
I'm going to cheese up. I'm used to going to like a board. Right. Awesome.
Cheat off me along over not getting greater.
Okay, you are the chair, so I think that the next thing we'll probably do is you will then move to elect a vice chair of this.
Right. I just wanted to wait for him since he is actually on the committee.
Yeah, he's the vice chair.
He's guaranteed to be here, so.
Yeah. If he forgets, we're in deep trouble.
In trouble, yeah, okay.
We just elected you vice chair. You're welcome.
Oh. So the next item is to elect the vice chair. No. We waited for you.
Gee, finally respect you.
I waited for you. We have any nominations?
Is there anybody else that's on the library committee? On the library?
Roger.
Roger?
Yeah.
It would make sense to have, you know, in case you can't make it, to have at least the opinion of the library here in one form, doesn't it?
That makes sense, so I will move to support that, if you're okay with it.
I can second that.
Okay, all those in favor? All those in favor?
Thank you, Roger.
Ted, you're it.
Appreciate
Yeah.
it. Appreciate it. And we'll all
Okay.
help each other, it's not like it's. You're not gonna put your head off.
Item 4, we're going to review the remote meeting policy. Is this typical of the town?
Yeah, this is just a formality. It came about with COVID and the new state statute that allowed for all of this. It will control your participation and also that of the public. So unless a member of this committee is participating remotely, it largely prohibits remote participation from the public. What we did do, or I did, was I pulled back one of the or I added a restriction, I guess, or no, I didn't. I added an allowance for remote participation, knowing that sometimes it's a struggle for people to get here in the middle of the day. We wanted to keep on that course, so it would allow remote participation for occupation.
Okay.
Oh, that's great.
Okay.
Good, okay.
Okay. Any questions?
And if we could have a vote to accept that, please.
Okay.
Still moved.
Second?
Second that.
Those in favor? That's everybody? Okay, so we'll move on to review the community guidelines. review the committee guidelines.
This is the document kind of set for the committee and the select board, this is what they had approved prior to your appointment, so we just want to make sure that everybody's on the same page. In terms of what the select board's looking for out of the committee, but then also a rough timeline, the committee on track. And if there are any questions or concerns about what's in this document, to discuss amongst yourselves and maybe feedback that you want to go to the select board.
So,
Or if you're just-
Lauren, I will move to accept the committee guidelines as written.
All those in favor? Okay, that's everyone. All right, so reviewing the preliminary concepts is our next item.
Is this all the options in?
These were all the original options given to us by Sebago Techniques, plus the one that we, the library trustees, have kind of changed. So one thing I wanted to bring up at the beginning of this is that right off the bat, the board of trustees, we did not want vehicle access between the library and the access road from the school. Foot traffic, absolutely, but not vehicle traffic. We have been right along battling with lack of parking spaces, and without that vehicle access, we could add more parking spaces as well as not have to go back and forth about people parking in our parking spaces when they're waiting for their kids, or if there's sports, we just have more control over our parking spaces when they're confined to our lot.
So we're starting with the rendering one.
That's
Well, it doesn't
A.
look like any of them have it specifically blocked out so that you can't access it.
The very last one, D does. The very last one does.
Yeah, it's the one that they did themselves.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
So this, I mean, so what is,
So it added parking spaces.
okay, so there's some sort of a curbing there so you can't.
Right, so they
Okay,
can't, but there will still be access for pedestrians.
Okay.
There is a sidewalk and there is a sidewalk up to it as well. So if we wanna go through each one, they're fairly similar. They have a little bit of changes, and then, as I said, D was the one that the library trustees came up with. And the basic changes to that were that we remove the access to Mill Stream's exit. We removed the local art area, which we kind of felt like that's out in the left-hand corner towards the road. That we really didn't need that space, that we don't have a lot of, we display art in the library, but we don't really have an outdoor art space that we really thought was. And this D also added parking spaces as well as a second ADA space. So. Yeah, if you have, after looking at them, I mean, if you have any questions, or if anybody has. You know,
I didn't.
that's
like-
why we're here.
I actually didn't like any option that didn't dump into the school exit.
Yeah,
Just as far as like putting a fire truck,
I was
if you
gonna say,
had
you can't
to,
get in and get out.
nobody would be able to get out, you know what I'm saying?
mm-hmm,
And if there was a way to make it one way, like in from Route 2, and then out, exit through the school. And to keep them from coming in from the school, and it's already, the school's done it for years, so there's no reason we can't have single direction. That was just my thought, and
that's a good point.
and also your fire hydrant, if you can see it, I'll show you. Your fire hydrant would be right here, right in the school,
And that,
Wow.
okay, yeah,
so if it would save you having it towed all the way around Route 2, and not that we plan on burning this place down, but
no,
Yeah.
that is a good
we
point.
gotta be in the what if business. And I didn't like how far away that handicap spot was. It should be right up close.
Yeah.
Right up as close as you can get to that front
Well,
door.
actually, that was one of the things that we wanted changing, was to have the front door be in the front of the building,
Yeah.
not off to the side.
Yeah.
As
It
in,
looked like
you
it
know,
was one of the I mean, and D, there is, it looks like
It
that
is
is
in
a
the
door
front,
sign. What
yeah.
is the kind of blank white space? I mean,
I think they just cut and pasted.
We cut and
okay,
Made their
all right,
own.
yeah,
so that's
that
not
was
sitting
why.
there.
No,
Okay.
that doesn't, no.
Yeah, they took
No.
another one and just cut and pasted and made their own.
But that could easily, the door could easily be, moved down because none of the interior has been done yet, so.
I think,
Oh.
I liked D, I think A being odd shaped. That should.
No, it doesn't make
Yeah,
sense.
that's just a
Just
nightmare.
found it
build.
expensive.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
expensive.
yeah, that makes sense, yeah.
And it had only 8
Today.
spaces, I think we could probably knock that one right out. Right away.
Yeah, I didn't like it either.
In B, Kelly didn't really like the patio being taken out of the square footage of the library, but she would like to have a patio out in the, outdoor reading area.
Yeah.
Um,
I agreed with that, I mean, how much can you use that in Maine?
yeah,
I mean, it's a great idea, but.
Well, I think that's kind of what I did kind of like in the outdoor space is that there is a designated kind of area for the children. If you are gonna be trying to do more things like that, that is a super busy stretch out that way, like,
yeah,
I think, liking the idea of having a patio but not eating into the square footage. I like that, but I don't like that you lose, in this design, it has 300 square feet less. I think the most square footage in a
Right.
building we could have, I think we
Just-
want.
yeah,
And I'm sure that there's some things that can be adjusted in landscape, but, I kind of like this sort of meandering
That's
little
what
path
she
there, and I
kinda
like
wanted.
that designated area, 'cause
Yeah.
I feel like that just feels kind of safe, and I mean, my kids are bigger now, but man, they were feral when they were small,
Yeah,
and trying
yeah.
to manage them, they're runners.
yeah.
So it would be nice if you were having something like that, like if you're trying to read with one kid, and you had a 3-year-old that just liked to cruise, and you had a
Yeah,
safe
yeah.
space to just let them, so you could read to the calmer child at the moment,
Yeah,
that would be.
Yeah,
Like a.
she wanted like,
Yeah.
yeah.
And
That's what it said,
Yeah,
if
and
that's.
she wanted like a doorway to come out at the back of, onto
Yeah.
that from the library and have that be.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Right.
just
Yeah.
containing tiny humans with 2 roads, like, that's
that's
just, I
a
mean,
lot.
that's really what it's gonna be geared towards. I think a lot of new activities and, gearing towards that audience, it doesn't hurt to contain them,
Have
just
some-
from a parent's perspective, it just makes
Yeah.
it easier, but to be able to relax and just kind of sit there and just be without like,
Right.
oh God, where'd they go this time?
Yeah.
And I think that might make it so it's more accessible to a lot more parents when you do have, some younger ones.
Something- Yeah,
And I agree with getting rid of that patio and the square footage of the library, but there would need to be, isn't it code that you have to have 2 entrances or
You're
exits?
gonna need a rear exit.
Yeah.
Because
and
it's,
we would have that if we had it off that
if we had
side,
one
yeah,
on the front, and one on the side, yeah.
yeah.
So add a second door there that would lead to that reading area. And could that reading area be fenced in if there were kids?
Well,
And
right
the
now,
patio part of
it
it,
is
I mean, that,
fenced in,
like that,
so-
yeah,
on
yeah,
C it is,
Yeah.
yeah, but on D
D it's
it's
not.
not.
no. On C it is, and that would still give you plenty of room to, because I think that C has, that's like about 50 to 65 square feet of area on that outdoor area. It's kind of deceiving, so you could still have like a story walk
Yeah.
and anything like that
Yeah.
besides that patio.
so have it be a story walk, like have it look like C. But have it, the library part be D, like.
Yes, the 3,300 square
Yeah,
feet,
yeah.
definitely, yeah.
I mean, I think that we should definitely be looking at trying to make it from the road as, inviting and as
Pleasant,
pretty as you
yeah,
can.
yeah.
Like I think that D streamlines it, like in C, that's a lot of green space at the front that could be parking. I think that
That's
that's less.
what we need is parking, yeah.
Yes, and I think
Yeah.
that, we are kind of overdoing it and something that needs to be at the forefront of our minds is, yeah, this looks great on paper, but then there's maintenance that comes with these things. This
Right.
is just mow it up, like that's
Yeah.
a lot, I mean, that's a substantial expense that's gonna come in for the maintaining of these. It's great to have these perennial beds and all these different things, but, hopefully you get a lot of volunteers. Exactly, it's extremely expensive, there's a lot of upkeep that goes with that, so that is something that I think that we should be cognizant of just kind of low maintenance, Are we looking at boxwoods, things like that are always gonna stay green, that are always providing privacy, but minimal amount of, upkeep. I think towards the main road, just so that we've got a buffer, I don't think we've gotta dump the money there, but like in the spaces where people can go out and kind of sit and enjoy, I think that makes more sense to have that there.
Yeah, I would rather have, parking spaces out there
Yeah,
than
for sure.
landscaping.
And visibility too, like, you already have that big tree there, but if you're coming. Yeah.
Right,
you may not see it
yeah.
tucked back in.
Yeah,
Yeah, the only thing is there's just so much traffic going by there that it's nice to have some kind of buffer, so you're not.
Oh, I think
hearing
it's probably
things
to
around.
maintain some kind of fence as well.
Yeah,
So we're all leaning towards C, that we're pretty much leaning towards.
yeah, I think so.
But making the
But with
building.
the building
I think so, yeah. I don't know why we would sacrifice any square footage, because I think that's the
So you
most.
basically
important
want
piece.
the front. The front
front
of,
of B,
of B with the,
Yeah,
yeah, the other way
Yeah,
around.
yeah,
So you want the back of B with the
Yeah,
front of
yeah.
B, so that makes sense.
and changing some of that landscaping into creating more
Yeah,
parking
yeah.
spaces.
And you have to remember, like, half of this greenery, if you just go around that line, everything in that greenery is not even on our land, so.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
this-
and it's like thinking of what we have for restrictions, like the back
Right.
of the building, do we even need to be able to get behind there other than just like,
I mean, I don't wanna be trapped behind here in these pine trees fighting fire, but that's not up to me. Fire marshal's gonna tell you yes or no on that,
yeah.
but we need more than just.
Yeah, I
that.
wonder what like restrictions we have for like how much space in and around the building we have to have.
Richard might be.
There is an existing retaining wall.
Yes,
that's
yeah.
there.
And if you move that retaining wall back to the end of our line, you could gain like 20 feet. And that's like 9 parking spots, if you're
Yeah.
worried about parking spots.
Yeah,
Cause then you could have parking, you know, if you move it
Coming
back.
from the back though?
No, you'd add them to the
Oh,
front.
just move everything back.
Everything
to get-
back.
I see what you're
Just as
saying.
close to the line as you could get,
Oh.
and
Okay.
then you could gain some
On
parking
the
spots
front.
out front.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
And my other concern was, where are you gonna put snow every time it snows? 'Cause this
you
isn't,
gotta have that second exit for that, yeah.
this isn't a stockpile situation, this is a move it every
Yeah,
time it
yeah.
snows.
That,
Yeah.
again,
Yeah.
a huge expense.
Moving snow every time. You know, like at the fire station, we just pile it onto the lawn and twice a year we move it.
Yeah.
But here, this is, if you add it
Wouldn't have
on to
any
the front,
place.
you'd have some sacrificial lawn here to pile snow up, it'd probably be beneficial in the long run.
Yeah, things that aren't pretty or exciting to do, like the, the cost of the upkeep of what do we put in and that removal and, just looking at the paths, they're great, but, all of that has to be shoveled, salted, sanded in
yeah.
the winter time for safety.
It has to all be ADA.
Exact, yeah, how expensive does it get with how much we do with that, those are all considerations, I think.
And this wall, if it's over 4 feet, I think it needs to be engineered anyway. I didn't go out and measure it. I haven't been on the lot,
You're
but
just hoping it's up to code, I'm just,
I would imagine,
yeah, if it's around the, letting the school, see, all right?
and you said it was all surveyed, Richard.
Yes,
I still question the length of this property line. Not that we don't have room, but we have room to do what we want, but it's not as long as
your easterly line,
the one with, I'll call it the neighbor side, but
yeah, so what's on GIS has the portion of the front lot and the back lot that previous
So it was
owner
like 160
split
feet.
to the school.
Right.
So, if you take those two numbers different, it's
Right.
closer to a square.
Yeah, it's like 160. Right.
That is
This isn't,
190.
right, this isn't 196, this is 160-ish.
Yeah.
You can see the old piece here. Gilman sold that to the school.
Mm-hmm.
So if you look on the tax
Oh, yeah.
map, it has the whole length.
Yeah.
Instead it should be 160, but.
And I might just, be having a blonde moment here too, but I know it's a lot of times I can look at these things, but it doesn't make a ton of spatial sense to me. Once we get a little bit closer, narrowing things down, I think it could be super helpful if we, even if it's only with like cones and masking tape, kind of go out and map things out so we can get an
Mhm.
actual
Sure.
feel for like the, the scale of things.
be
We
able
could be
to
looking at this
actually
and
see
being like, oh, that looks like a ton of green space. Then you look at it, you're like, it's like 2 cars worth of like green space. Or
Yeah.
it could be like,
Oh, yeah.
wow, that's way bigger. Like, let's do more building. I think,
Yeah.
I know for me, I suck at 2D. I'm more of a, put some,
Visual.
yeah, put some of like the visual goggles on me, so I need to be able to see it, feel it, and move it, because I think then you get a feel for.
Even bring cars, our own cars in and.
I think just understanding the space, like where you can move, if it feels tight or if it feels like, it's easy to see it on here, but I think that walking it always makes it feel
No, it does.
more concrete,
Oh, I
so.
agree.
I didn't brought a tape measure, so.
Okay, field trip. It does though, like, whenever you're designing anything, I think that's the first
Oh,
thing that
yeah.
you kind of. You don't forget, and the last thing you wanna do is spend all this money and be like, boy, shoulda, coulda, woulda, like,
Mm.
boy, I really feel like we should have had more room over there, boy, why didn't we take advantage of that?
Right.
30 feet behind there, we could have had another room back, so that's just.
And you are confident this is gonna be enough space for you guys, like, I know you can't predict indefinitely, but
The
This-
square footage of the library, you mean?
like, is this gonna be future proof? I don't wanna build a third library that can't be
No,
added on.
well, right now we're in a 1,440 square foot
I know.
building,
Yeah, and
so
you're
you're
not gonna
more
do
than
anything.
doubling it.
Yeah. And so I know.
I mean, I would love to think maybe we would outgrow it, I think that would be take a lot to do.
I mean, if it's only really double what that is, that's still not a huge space, and I think that's something that I know myself and some other members on the board were looking at, that's gonna be a substantial expenditure, and we wanna make sure it's as multi-use and like
Oh, yeah.
as many purposes as we can get, but if we're gonna spend the money on a building like that, we want it obviously to work as a, you know, great functioning library, but what else can the community do there? What else can be
Right, that's
hosted there? Can there
included in
be
a
like,
Building
know,
plan.
exactly, so it's
Yeah.
like, you wanna make sure that that building is big enough to support future, you know,
Right.
activities
Mhm.
there, you know, like if, you know, any group wants to have something like some
Oh,
sort of,
yeah.
you rent out a space or something like that, kids have a birthday party.
Right.
Yeah,
We're looking for a community room that's about
Side by
30 by 30.
yes,
You know, has the ability to have two separate doors, so the room can be divided if it
Right.
needs to be. You know, we're trying to incorporate, looking at the community as well as just, not just the library. She's run into that even just with
yeah,
tutoring, different people that have come in and wanted to use our space in the
Sure.
current space.
yeah.
But there just isn't, there's no privacy, there's no.
No, and I think that that could be a fairly marketable asset if the library had that, you know, like. My kids went to public school, but I would imagine if you're homeschooling your kids, to have the venue to be able to meet up with other families and have, you know. Shared learning and different opportunities like that, like, we need to have a space where it's not everyone going into, you know, check out a Diane Steele is also the same place as your kid who's trying to, you know.
Yeah.
Learn about, I think segregated areas would be really nice, I think a lot of people would wanna utilize that, whether it's for small little functions or, you know.
She actually had a homeschool event this past week and it had, I think like 49 kids and
Yeah.
25 adults.
I heard they were expecting 20, like
Yeah,
total,
yeah.
which is
Yeah,
amazing.
it is
but yeah.
amazing, but that's,
Not
that
a lot,
was
yeah.
not good, you know, it was good, but it
So
wasn't, yeah.
those are the types of things I wanna make sure we don't outgrow and outpace it, we don't build it big enough to accommodate those
Accommodate
types of
what we
things.
need, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, like it's, that would be my only concern with however the library is set up, that we've got enough space to make it multifunctional, multi-use, not just get the books and have a small space, that would be.
I think this is something we're gonna have to present to whoever we have for consultant
Yeah.
to draw up our space is what, you know, these are one of our
Yeah.
concerns.
Yeah, I don't see why we just stick with these guys and see what they do, and if we don't like it, we
Yeah.
find someone else.
Yeah, they're definitely, their credentials
I
are
mean,
amazing, my only.
It's over a certain amount, we're always gonna put everything out to bid for everything, right, that's it.
They certainly
So
want,
how did we come up with these guys to
They're
begin
the
with?
only ones that's-
Have they done something else for us?
No, they were at a conference that I attended last winter. And so just, they show up to conferences, obviously, to figure out what you've got going on for projects. And at the time, the library was talking about the possibility of a new library in this lot. And so I mentioned it to them and they said, oh, well, we usually take on 2 or 3 projects a year pro bono. To do this type of thing, this would normally cost you
Yeah,
anywhere
that's my
between
favorite
5 and
price.
10,000.
Oh, yeah.
Just to get the 3 initial that they started, and they took care of it for us for nothing.
Yeah.
Obviously, they do that hoping that,
Yeah.
they would be considered and that the work that they did for you was, a good enough reason to override the process, or if you went through the process, that give them preferential treatment. Not to get too far ahead, but they've been out here 3 or 4 times to do on the ground survey work. Take a look at, you know, for some of these recommendations, it's proximity to the school, concerns that they might have about, you know, the entry, permits or whatnot, traffic flows. They definitely do more than what I would have expected for parole.
Yeah, yeah. So what do you guys hope it will look like? Have any thoughts on that, or have you had any, or what?
At this point, we really had just gotten doing the site plan, we haven't gone to the interior or really even the facade, you know, we want it to be something that is, I say it, Richard put it good.
like the outside, I'd love to.
Stately outside,
Yeah.
I'd love to
you know.
see brick and granite.
something, yeah,
Something
unique
that's
and
like,
eye-catching,
doesn't
doesn't
look
look curb
modular.
appeal,
Yeah,
you know, that kind of thing, yeah.
easy
Something,
maintenance.
you know,
Yeah.
very,
My
yeah,
husband and I
yeah.
were talking about it, like, you know, granite or brick or something. that would be
Expensive,
easy
expensive.
Yeah,
That's-
right,
that's-
it is,
I mean,
yeah.
so there's, you
I
gotta
mean,
fight that duality of, cost.
We
just
did
think,
a
you know,
granite quarry right here in Norridgewock, you know, wouldn't it be cool if, you know?
never works that, it's gonna be a lot
No.
less expensive.
Oh, I know.
Yeah.
But there's other options, there's hardy board,
Yeah.
there's other,
That's good options.
you know, that,
Yeah,
Make it,
are durable
Make it
and
last.
yeah, nice, you know.
I wonder if it would be
That is
helpful to, you know, it seems like everyone's sort of a bit more visual, you know, if there's, I don't know how comfortable you are with like a Pinterest board or something like that, just so that, you know, the kind of like overall aesthetic of it, you know, not to sound like, but like the vibe of it, like, you know, what you're kind of, sorry. I think that might be helpful, and if like, everyone kind of has like, if it's, everyone's sort of feeling the same thing, and it makes it really easy, but if everyone's kind of like all over the place, it's like, all right, well, what did we really? I really like that this was like a core thing that they wanted, whether it's like some sort of a porch or it's some, like it feels like cozy, or if it just feels like it's, you know, lots of spaces, or if it's bright, or if it's like more, you know. I
Wouldn't the
think that'd be helpful.
consultant bring us that kind of thing? Give us
The
some
more you give them, the
options.
better they can.
Yeah,
I could give you 3D stuff, sure.
it would be neat if it would be
Yeah.
something that looked like it had always been here, you know,
Yeah.
or been here forever, or, you know, for a long time. There's a lot of cool little buildings in Norridgewock.
Yeah.
and I think if you got them that kind of a sentiment that you didn't want it to stick out, then you trust it to them. Because everybody's gonna want a different shade of paint.
Oh,
Right,
definitely.
right.
Finished
Yeah.
material or font on the
It's gotta
side.
be more of a, yeah,
So,
You
you
know.
know, we've narrowed down 3,300 people to 7. And there still won't be consent among that.
Oh,
So
right,
it's a
right.
lot easier to have, these folks come in, I think, or whoever you select to come in and make these types of recommendations and, you know, don't allow individuals to pick the swatches out and decide what it's
Yeah.
gonna be, because then it's gonna be seen as a pet project.
right.
Yeah, sounds like that.
so at this point, are we ready to move on to the discussion of the consultant selection?
Yeah, what we're talking about is the drawings, sure. Mhm.
We're generally saying that we like C with building of D.
Yeah, like
Right.
a hybrid of the two.
And with extra, get rid of the greenery and add parking spaces.
The front of C.
The front of C
rear-
and the side with a. Yeah. Okay, so, the credentials of the, consultants, they're amazing.
Yes.
Very impressive. My only thing that I wonder about is looking at all the jobs they've done. They're in pretty influential places,
Yeah,
but
you're building a good building for our Granville.
you need, yeah,
Don't forget that.
and we wanna have somebody that's gonna do a good job for us.
I'm assuming that they have references and all that.
There's a whole pack, yeah, so.
He just.
Absolutely.
And you're still at the end on that, we're starting to see this budget. And
That's
those
the
two.
credentials.
And they definitely have a lot of experience working with like municipalities, so I think that that sometimes too makes it, you know,
Yeah.
we understand that some we're gonna have.
Yeah. I mean, and libraries, municipalities and libraries.
Yeah. I think they're more than qualified, they seem eager to work with us, do we need to select them as the? What is that what they're looking for?
I'm looking for the committee to make a recommendation, because this committee has been great for the authority or spending power. So I think that the library, by having Jean as the default chair and then a member of the trustees on board, that you're representing your interest with the library and the trustees. And so if we can get out of that and consider what their comments are, then we can take those things to the select board. There is a building account, the library, the trustees are understanding that that's gonna probably be tapped into as a source of funding.
Yeah.
To get things up off the ground.
Right,
So, if this group said we want to bid it out, if this group said we want to get Sebago veterans, then I'll take that to the select board and say this is the recommendation of this committee and this is why.
I just, I wonder, like, we can take that, I mean, knowing if this is gonna come to the select board, there's no. We don't have that, is it like exploratory now, because there's no real budget to attach to that for us to approve, it's more of just like a,
It would come out of the library building account,
okay.
the building reserve.
To have them basically like engineer something and start working on that plan to see what we would be looking at for a cost.
So I think. We need to finalize a rendering, or your concept design rather, And then, once we can finalize that and get sort of an idea, I would say the next step before you cost it out is to get a curbside rendering. It's computer generated, it might cost you 500 to 1,000 to get it, but I think that's an important part.
Yeah, that's gonna be really important.
And then you're gonna cost it out and get their construction estimates.
Yeah.
And decide what we're
Yeah.
gonna do.
I think that
If
rendering's
we're
gonna need to be
Move forward, or what your source of funding is and things like
Yeah.
that, but,
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I wanna be transparent with things coming forward, once it comes and I'm sitting over on that side. First thing I'm gonna be asking is, okay, so like, what are we getting, how much is this? No way, it's just way too much money, and like, not just that, how much is gonna keep costing us, that's, so I think the more detailed, the more like. Specific it is, we know what we're getting, the renderings, I think it's well worth, the money to invest, because that's.
Oh, yeah, we need that to go
Yeah.
to the town.
Yes.
Yes, absolutely. That was our. Oh, yep.
Renderings and the floor plan.
Yes.
And I asked, so.
I think that is,
Yeah.
that needs to be
Very
authorized to take that out of your operating, like your building budget. To move forward to do anything before you can get it to any next phase. So you're looking for a motion to approve the. Budget of rendering by Sebago.
we wanna finalize the concept layout, so blend everything together.
Mhm.
The
C and
C and
D.
D,
Yep,
and then begin to work towards a facility layout,
yes. Mhm.
and then, curbside rendering. Or wait, at that point in time,
I think the building is the most important at this point, to know what we're,
I would like to talk to them, I think.
and get them at the next meeting, if we will.
Yeah, I mean, I think that it's important for us to talk to them to get their feedback as well as to them, for them to hear what our ideas
Instead
might
of
be.
going back and
And
forth.
yeah, instead of going back and forth
Yeah.
like that, then let them do the
Yeah.
rendering
I think
after
the
they've
more,
met with us.
yeah, the more visual cues of kind of what you're looking for, I think is to give them initially before we even set that up, so that it's just you come in and they're gonna have 3 or 4 ideas, and not that this is something that we should go with, but say if we want to, use our jumping point inspiration as like the old Sophie May, like just a nod to that, like overall look or vibe or whatever, and that way they know kind of maybe materials, look, feel, whatever, and then have them come to us with options. But I think if we're just like, we want it to have X, Y, and Z, they're gonna come back and it could be all over the place. I think we're just gonna back and forth and back and forth, so the more specific.
Not cut you off, but like
Yeah.
referencing their other buildings, cause like a lot of the brick and granite were mentioned, and they had a few like of their own examples.
That they had,
That
yeah.
were exactly that, so.
Yeah.
Almost like saying like, yeah, adding what they already have done, so.
I do love that. I just know that that's going to be substantially more money.
And maybe
And-
they have ideas. on
Yeah,
that,
exactly.
because we can't be the only like.
Have you got a brick veneer?
Yeah.
That's, yeah.
It's gonna be
Yeah.
breaking to look like brick face.
Yeah.
It's gonna last forever, it's worth the investment.
Well, that's true
They're
too.
always gonna need a library,
Mhm.
and if you can build it to last, then it would be crazy not to. At this point.
You know what goes wrong when you can have the wrong facial put in, right?
I know about it, I got no part of it. but I know
Yeah.
about it.
Um.
So
So,
motion to recommend proceeding with Sebago Technics to finalize the site plan concept. And to make an initial recommendation for indoor plan layout.
so moved.
So,
Second that.
All those in favor? That's everyone?
And if that gets approved, I'm gonna ask quickly, consider it tomorrow. If that gets approved, then we'll invite them to the next meeting as well. Hopefully they come here, but that has a cost too. So
Okay.
maybe we'll get them in the room the first meeting and then decide if we want to just allow them to zoom in after that. And we have a topic or.
Mhm.
There.
So are they getting like free range over floor plan idea, or do you guys have an idea for floor plan, or?
So we have a concept, it's attached to the back of our, library committee. It's just, it's kind of a wish list, let's say.
Okay.
Yes.
Yes.
But, so it would be something for them to go by to draw up
Yes,
the.
okay.
Oh, okay, all right.
So you don't actually have a box with all this put where you want it.
No, we do not, no, no. No, we were concentrating on just a site plan on that lot to start things rolling.
You're happy with everything on here, nothing you wanna change, and these are all ideas that,
These are all ideas
You're
that came
behind?
from, yes, yeah, yeah. I mean, again, we're here to, for all of us to have the input to,
Right.
you know, so,
I've never lived in a library before.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you could give them this. They could easily give you like a rough floor plan. What they do, they know exactly how big you want it, you have the square footage, how much you want.
Yeah.
They can give you a bunch of options and. I still think you should be able to split it from the public, like have a library on this side and then another door that you can unlock if nobody wants to babysit. So you get the key.
Access the conference room or
Right.
that kind of
Without
thing,
getting
that,
into
yeah,
the library.
yeah,
Yep.
yeah. Well, that maybe could be incorporated in that side door, or maybe not, maybe they'd have, you know, ideas for us, they've done, again. Like you said,
We'll take it a
they've done
floor.
this kind of thing before, so yeah, yeah.
Once you get one, then you can send it to the fire marshals and they can. Disappoint you with whatever they have to come up with.
Yes.
They'll find something, I guarantee it. What they do.
I do like the sitting and the reading area, the comfortable furniture space. I think if you can make it sort of, you know, cozy environment and things like that and all that stuff will go into it, yeah.
You'd be surprised how many people do come in and sit even in the nook that's there and read and
Yeah.
hang out, so. Mhm. So next will be the future meeting format. And we touched on that as far as allowing remote access or what?
Well, so we've got remote access, under current rules, there's no public input in these meetings, so if you want to structure that into every meeting we can, there's no obligation. My initial instinct is to say, don't, you know, if somebody wants to send a concern or whatnot, then great, but other than that, it's just going to add more dimensions of
Right.
personality to the process.
Right,
No,
they will have their
Makes
chance,
it difficult.
yeah, yeah,
One of the things I forgot about, but we need to add other business to the agenda for anything that might not get caught or something that comes in a not timely way. And then I don't know what you guys feel, depending on the work product that you're gonna be reviewing or what process you want this to appear to be. I mean, I kind of just winged this, sent it to Jean and off we went, but if there's a different way that you'd like to approach it.
You mean other than just sending us out an agenda and items covered sort of?
Yeah, or even how the meeting is, you know, I mean, we've got an order of what we'll consider, and it's probably gonna get very broad on the agenda. But, you know, if we wanna bucket it out into categories, I know Jeff's represented public safety, they're represented a lot, everybody's kind of got their own pockets that they're represented. Do we wanna break those out into individual meetings, or do we just wanna let people weigh in when they wanna weigh in, or, any thoughts on that?
Is there something that we can sort of, as we get going and see how things sort of naturally progress, we can change as we go? And just, you know, I think, what is it, you don't know until, you don't know, what you don't
Yeah,
know.
so I
It's
feel like
like,
today,
yeah,
when like public
yeah.
safety wise, like you wouldn't have known what you could have weighed in, like, you know what I mean?
Well, I think that was
You
very
know, you had
helpful,
your
yeah.
concerns and that was.
yeah, I think actually that's why we're all here, so maybe that we should stay that way unless it changes, unless for some reason it comes up, because I think, yeah, everybody has their,
Right.
yeah. Their
It's probably
strength.
gonna change, like, we have like the curve thing to like look at next time, and then that'll be kind of more
Yeah,
focused,
well,
but.
like I like this pool here, I
Yeah.
like this over here.
Yeah.
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 So non-public and,
Yeah, I think that just makes it so you can become
yeah.
too scattered, too chaotic and not,
Lose
and maybe it's
focus
just
of what
because
you're
you've
doing.
always followed this format like with the select board, like I'm used to knowing exactly this comes up before, we follow as we go down through, like you know what to expect and it
I
just
think it
kind of
works.
keeps you on track.
Yeah.
I think this is one of those projects where it's so like broad still, we could go off on tangents for. I know, like I'm creating a Pinterest board in my head at the moment, like, I mean, it's all there, so I think like having something to keep us on the rails, I think is fun.
I think it's good.
Yeah,
And Richard usually organizes all of that stuff to kind of keep us on the rails and
Yeah.
little bumper rails for us.
so, do we need to vote on that, or is that just something
No, that's
that
fine.
we just wanted to discuss? So, the next item would be to set the next meeting date.
I think that would be dependent on when we get stuff back from them.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah, it wouldn't make sense before we have that what we talk about, unless everyone's coming with like some ideas, and maybe that could be helpful, like everyone's some.
Have you visited other libraries and that you guys like kind of got ideas from, or?
We haven't as a group.
Okay.
Yeah,
I've been to a couple and I've got one on my radar that I'd like to go. Camden has an outdoor children's,
their library is wonderful, yeah.
and so I really wanted to check that out.
Well, I had to our field trip.
But yeah, where my husband and I went and picked up the drop box that was donated, and that library was pretty new, and that was very nice.
Yes,
Very
it's
nice.
really nice.
Do we have a list of new libraries in the
I
area?
would actually meant to ask Kelly that. I don't have one off the top of my head, but I'm sure she will know because
It popped in my head because I
Yeah.
think they're pretty new built
Yeah.
and they're like built from scratch
Yeah, they
too.
are.
she's on a group with other libraries, so I thought she might be able to give us a list of new libraries. But
And Sophie May is going to remain sort of that there, that is gonna be up there, so we don't need to incorporate any of the things that have been happening there over here, okay.
And nothing in Sophie May is coming to this when they go there.
I
Genealogy
think they're
stuff.
getting rid of stuff that's going
Mm.
to the ether.
No, I think they're
genealogy
trying to
stuff's
keep the
staying right over there.
genealogy there,
Just
yeah,
not-
I mean, if the
Yeah.
time came, obviously. That might have to happen, but I don't think it's a big enough thing to have to worry about space on a floor.
And we're set on single story. I wouldn't go up, but are we gonna have like
I,
a basement? Are we gonna,
Would we have to have an elevator?
I
Would
do
that
think
be
that,
required?
think so.
It isn't,
Well,
you know, like,
we-
cause
we-
it
she
can be
really
ADA
was-
without an elevator tent.
A stair, chair, or a lift, just an up and down lift. That's what they have at New Balance, and up and well, at the front entrance at New Balance, you walk in, and you go up the first flight of
Yeah.
stairs. And they've just got a little stall that you go into, and it brings you back
Yeah.
up to the next level, but that's a short rise.
Yeah, I feel like aesthetically and space management, it would make sense to have two floors, but I mean, you know,
Mm.
when you think quieter space, like things like that, a second floor would be significantly like more preferable to having it just off the side of, you know, kids' story hour next to you. And, you know, I think from visually it would be prettier, you know, than a single, you know, unit. And how much more square footage could you get if you went up? You know, that would be. I'm
well,
just
you
thinking if we're
potentially
spending
you
on,
could get twice what you.
Right.
yes,
Right,
Well,
problem
yes.
going up is sprinklers. And
Double the cost.
if you're over 3,000 and they call it like a fire load, because so much, if you have more than 10 pounds per square foot fire load, they'll consider it as bookshelves obviously are, so.
Mhm.
You may, if you get over 30 at 3,000, you might have to worry about that.
and maybe the books aren't up there, maybe that's like you
Yeah.
take the space up there or something. I don't know, definitely things to, you know, I'd love to see what renderings they come up with that and what that then would amount to cost wise, or with all these other, you know, additional
Yeah,
considerations that had to be made, and I know none of that, so.
I mean, it's possible to make it not quite a story and a half, but to still give the presence of it being more than
Mhm.
just a flat.
Yeah, with it
One
being like
story,
cathedral
you know,
ceiling
you
or
can
something
do,
like that,
you
yeah,
can do things to make it look
yeah.
more
Right,
majestic or whatever.
Even like a loft sort of thing, that's a reading nook up in there.
Well, you know, that's not my
Yeah.
idea, maybe, yeah.
The other thing is that it could be something that maybe could be developed at a later time. You know, you'd have.
Right, the
space
potential there, if you needed it, yeah.
that you could.
I think getting the funding mechanism for that down the road is gonna be probably non-existent. I think getting that initial one is gonna be hard enough, I think getting a secondary one,
Would be-
especially with, unless the numbers of the patrons significantly goes up in the demand. I don't think that you'll get that approved twice, just putting that out there, I think whatever you want, get it in the first time, cause you're not gonna get a second grab.
once.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're not gonna get a second grab would be, but, I mean. Just knowing I would probably do something like that, so, I mean.
Skowhegan Middle School was built so that those wings could blow out when they needed to condense schools and then surge pupil count. And so that's what they did, they built it so that it had room for that expansion
Yeah,
when the time came, and it was actually in the name of consolidation.
yeah,
So something to think about, maybe you don't plan for a second story now, but in 15 years down the road, you build this building right, it's gonna be 100.
yeah,
Right,
Mhm.
Because it's something that you're gonna be able to modify,
yeah,
future proof.
right?
yeah.
I don't wanna build a fourth library, and so why don't you do it the third time?
We even built one, I think we trailered one in.
Well, yeah.
No, that was a gift from the,
Yeah.
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 There's just so many options, like I thought, what if you moved? Instead of having a retaining wall here, what if the whole building is shifted to like the corner and you had the public part down bottom where you walked in from the street, and then library was up top,
Mhm.
right? Then you wouldn't need an elevator, cause you could just go in the front door.
Oh, you're in a daylight basement?
Yeah,
Yeah.
but like, that would be like the public meeting room place, separate from the
Yeah.
library. You need a library.
Oh,
up
I
top.
see what you're saying, yeah, the library, you'd enter
That's
From
what
the
the
street.
library
street
is like.
and then underneath, yeah,
It's just-
that's interesting, yeah.
If you're gonna pay for a retaining wall, you might as well pay for a foundation instead.
Mm.
Do we know if we have to pay for a retaining wall, or is that not?
If you decide to move it, we can talk about moving it back, but.
Yeah. Those are never cheap. Once-
No.
No.
Even if you know someone, it's not cheap.
Gain every foot we can, because I want,
Yeah.
getting smaller every time we look at it.
Yeah.
So what did we decide about setting the next meeting date? We're going to
See what.
wait and to see if they,
I have, scheduled a future date until the timeline to be determined, i.e. select board approval and consultant productivity.
okay. Is there any other business?
You need us to add something, didn't you? I'm sure you need.
No, I'm gonna add other business to the future agenda, so it's the
Oh, okay,
actual.
all right.
Or anything anybody
Think-
wants to talk about, or anything that you guys are packing with concerns. Unfortunately, we're kind of having that, but now it's time to get off.
Yeah.
Was there any plan for like, I know there is a plan for like later public input, like with a online server or anything, is that anything you guys have done yet, or? But I read it somewhere, but.
What, we had a survey that didn't really get a lot of response about the library. You know, it really, there is a timeline as far as on the back of this, is what we're hoping to go by.
Yes,
But as far as a survey, no, but we would have to have public input.
yeah, that's what I saw for October,
Yeah.
so that's why I didn't know if that had happened
No,
yet, or if that is
we're-
planning.
No,
Okay.
that's.
Okay,
What do you wanna say?
I'm trying to think of what I wanna say, and now I don't know this late. I mean, you've got an election coming up on November the 4th, it could either be a really low turnout or it could be a high turnout. The state thinks it's gonna be a high turnout. If we could get something together, theoretically, we could put it there. and
have like a table type of thing,
Right.
like,
As
yeah.
far as what things you wanna, like a sort of question of what they wanna see in a future library?
Yeah, but we'd have to be smart about making it something that's user friendly, you don't want to
Yeah.
leave comment
Yeah.
boxes, you want people to get A, B, C, D, or
Yeah,
where do you find value, right? You know, on a scale of 1 to 5, do you find value in?
We just did this, not have to give Devin credit, but he came up with this thing and it's like the clickers that like, you know, when you walk a mile and you click it, but he has like 6 of them lined up and it's how did you hear about us? So then there's like Facebook from a friend, from radio, so we could, I mean, he could easily throw another one of those together. He's probably watching our training, but and have like, right, like what do you find the most valuable in a new library? And we could have options and then so people could click it that way too.
something else that I'm just thinking just from, when you start looking at the public response to this and if they then become the deciding factor and funding mechanism with this, you know, is it being solely a library and marketed to the taxpayers of Norridgewock or as a library / community center? Is that gonna make it more palatable from a cost standpoint to more voters? Cause I think that what's gonna happen is no one wants to come out and say, oh, I don't want a library, but when you only have such a small portion that's using it, is the consensus gonna be like, we're not spending that much, but that's ridiculous, we're not spending that much money on a library, but if it's I think it's a branding thing, do we brand it as only a new library, do we brand it as a library that now has community
I
center?
think that's the point, to have community, yeah.
Yeah, and I
Yeah,
think
absolutely.
that from the get-go, I think we need to be putting it forward as such, because, you know,
Yeah.
just think about that position that we had for the community involvement, like the activities. It got shut down because of the perception of what it was, like, oh, it's an assistant for Richard, that really wasn't what it was, so I think how we put this out, because at some
gonna
point,
Be
it
important,
might
yeah.
not just be the select board, it's gonna be maybe taxpayers, and I think that the more people that we market this to as you're a
They'll use it.
potential user of, and I think that maybe that comes in when we give the information to Sebago. It's, who do you see using this? Obviously, we wanna see kids reading it, people are going in to get books, but like, how else are we envisioning, if you close your eyes, like, what are you doing there? Like, for me, like, I would love it if there was a nice cozy place that felt like, and I could go in there and I could like read, or I could just like, hop on Wi-Fi and not listen to my children and not like be interrupted. And my God, if there was like a fireplace or it was big comfy, like I would go there, where now I would never go there. So it's, or maybe it's, I'm going to have like a meeting with like, the boosters for, field hockey. Am I
Right,
gonna bring them there? Is there a space to be able to do something like that? I think opening it up, so we're not just thinking library, obviously that is what we're doing. I just know it's gonna be easier for me to say budget wise, money, approval. It's gotta check a lot of boxes for the price tag that I know this is gonna come with. And if we don't do that, I don't think the support is gonna come from the public and maybe not even from the board, because it's gonna be a lot of money, because we wanna build it right, we want a certain look. It's gotta serve a lot of,
and we
it's gotta
wanted
be
it
the
to,
Swiss
we
Army
wanted
knife
it to
building for
serve
the
the
town.
community,
Yeah.
that's what we want,
So
so.
is that the information
Like
that
a
we wanna like
pension.
right off the get-go get out there, so if we did set something up for the voting? If that's the information.
I
we
think
want
doing
to-
any voting right now would be bad. I think like in opinion poll, I don't think you wanna do anything voting. We don't have
Right.
enough stuff and people will vote this stuff down because it's getting.
Oh, no, I was just like a survey, like. here's what I
Yeah,
had.
Yeah,
like
okay,
what do you
yeah.
find important,
Yeah.
and then that's what we can take.
And what is the usage? How many people do use the library now? Do we have?
She keeps track of every month. I can tell you there's some months that she has 400 people come in, some months she has 200 people come in. She had the best reading program this last summer that the library has ever had. The participation and the amount of patronage was amazing, and she's adding new programs all the time.
Yeah.
She has the homeschooling program now, as well as the Lego club, as well as the story times, and plus adult, we try to do adult events. So,
Well, that should be a focus of this government, it should be public library, not children's
Yeah.
library, right?
no,
Public
it's a public
library.
library,
And
yeah,
community center.
Well,
absolutely,
Both
yeah,
in one.
Yeah,
absolutely, yeah.
plenty of conversations about how much we invest and we spend in our rec department, and I think that that is all well spent. But it also sort of leads the other thing that there's an underserviced population like our elderly, like we don't have any
Exactly.
activities and things like that for them, so
It could
whether
be
it's, I know that
something
there was.
in the library.
Yes,
you know.
having different like community events and different things like that and groups and like.
Bingo or
That could be like
whatever.
one of the
yeah.
things we have on the survey, like options for community events or
Yes.
classes or,
Mhm.
stuff like that.
I think that would
Yeah.
open up a lot of doors and a lot more people who actually show up to vote, to make things go
You get
through.
people thinking, yeah.
What it could do for them.
For
You've
that.
got to think of who's gonna come and vote and approve things, and sometimes you don't wanna pander to your market, but like. I mean, we'll have full elections where we have 130 people show up, and
I
that's who
know.
made the decision for, 3,000 people. So you've gotta understand who's gonna be helping you to make these decisions, and how do you make sure that you're reaching as many people, because while those numbers are great for the library, and that's higher than, I remember when I started, that still accounts for like less than 1% of Norridgewock tax paying, like, it's.
Yeah. But
So-
again, how many people show up to vote?
Way
More
less
people
than
come to the
that.
library.
And
More
that's
people come to the
terrifying,
library,
like when you think
yeah.
about what we spend,
Yeah.
yes, it is.
So do we really have time to get together exactly what we wanna say by November 4th?
I think we could kick it around, you've got to really have 2 or 3 high level questions.
Okay,
And it's probably what would you value most in a new library?
New library.
Something like
Slash community center, yeah.
Yeah.
Is it added space, is it? Added
community,
program? I don't know,
yeah,
and maybe it's just not worthwhile right now.
yeah, I just,
It's a lot, we don't even have a floor plan.
I know, it's a lot I just don't wanna
But
screw us up at
though,
the
like, I
beginning.
think that
Yeah.
trying to squeeze something in to hit that November deadline,
Mm.
when we have like the ability now with all the texting and things like that, we can send out lots of surveys, like I don't think
Right.
getting that feedback. is
We
gonna
don't
be
have to
good
have
meet that
it
election.
November 4th, yeah.
I mean, the pressure isn't about the date, I guess, it's about getting that information in up front. Because I think the library said, oh, this community space is really good, it's an extra selling point. Well, the Grange is marketing the same thing, the fire department marketed the same thing. All of these buildings that want funding market that we are more than just what this building is because we have space for it.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And is that the best use of the space? Maybe it is, maybe not. What does the public think about that? There's more people that use this library than use our sewer system. one might argue that the library is just as important to economic development as wastewater treatment facility. Matt Everett says, I would never want to be in the town that didn't have a library. Or
There's no
one
bed
that.
in the library.
It doesn't matter. You know, it's a sense of community.
Yeah,
And so how do people value that space? Do people value the space for activities, or do they want it for multi-purpose meeting?
Mhm.
Things like that, and we offer this up as a multi-purpose meeting room. I've let this meeting room out once in 10 years. So the fire department just is catchment for the Sportsman's Association because they have that extra door and the schedule locks. But we don't have a huge demand for that type of space.
yeah.
So does that really bring in
People know
more
that is
people?
available though?
But yeah, I mean, it's out there, it's online, and people call here and say, where can we meet? And probably the 30 by 30 isn't gonna be big enough for what people necessarily look for.
Mhm.
In my mind, if we're looking for community space, it's gonna be something that can hold
Probably.
that meeting,
Yeah,
Larger than that, huh?
right?
Yeah,
So I'm not sure if that's maybe the best space, use of space. Or if you'd rather that be more comfy space and activity space that's actually contained with the library. I don't know.
yeah,
So it sounds like the library has good programs going for it, if they have the attendance they have.
Yeah.
And so they really need this, like, I mean, that's a state community.
yeah,
If you have a portable layout, right? I don't know how your computer stations will set up or anything else, but like this room breaks down, this could be wide
Right,
open.
right.
And if you design it right, you could theoretically hold a workshop right in the middle for a lecture or something like
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
Then it's more about storage, where do you put your furniture? Where do I
Yeah.
put these tables and something at?
right.
But I think the community, the library is gonna need to use it and use it more than say 3 times a year to justify it,
Right,
because publicly, every year you get the Grange is the community center, the Grange is the community center.
well, the library uses the Grange
Right,
when it's got something too big, and it
But
probably,
it's a lot of
uses
seasonality,
it
though.
at
They
least
can't
4
heat it
times.
in Winter.
No, I know,
Yeah.
but we do. Go,
Bundle?
I mean, it's, at least 4 times a year, we have an event there. Because it was,
If you had a bigger building, it'd give you more options to do better things. More
right,
things.
and that's what I think
For
too, is she'd
everybody.
probably come up with more,
Right.
more
Amplify what we have right now.
more programs or whatever, what have you, I'm sure she will, but. Okay,
When we have our next meeting, could it be at some point where Kelly could come as just, I mean, like, I know.
yes and no. I love her and I think she's a wonderful librarian, but when we structured the committee. It wasn't structured with the librarian having a seat on the committee.
Not a seat on the committee, just.
Right, so that's gonna be public input, so if you wanna do that, then I think that we need to put that in as, having it with the librarian, and not out of disrespect or anything, but. There has to be that process and involvement of the stakeholders and.
Can we set a special, not special meeting, but have a meeting where we don't have a lot on agenda to just that meeting, can be public input?
Yeah,
Okay.
oh, you're gonna have several.
I would-
Okay, yeah, perfect.
Yeah.
And I wonder with the librarian input, if there's anything specific that you're looking like, what input she is gonna have or like insights, that's all something that can be gathered from her, ahead of time and then brought to us, she doesn't need to be here. I think we always get into like, I know for myself, whenever someone's sitting right there, you're like, okay, I gotta say, is this now? Like, I don't want anyone feeling like, I think it's easier to know what her concerns would be with anything going up, what things she's really wish list, which things are non-negotiable, it has to have there, and like what I'm hoping to do, and if I have this, then I can make that happen. I think that that's all pretty.
well, she was involved in this input, so she's,
Yeah.
that's.
I asked her, I said, do you have input to this, is this? And she goes, oh, yes, I do, I've got input.
Meet with
They've
Kelly.
asked me and I have input, so.
Yeah.
This meeting was difficult because I want to schedule my own to try to get everything done in a certain amount of time. But if we could get it on a Monday or an afternoon when she's not working, obviously, I think that's better for her to be able to at least be here and listen to what's going
Yeah.
on. Even if it's not a back and forth conversation.
She can always
at least you
speak
could
through
sit
you
in.
guys too.
Right,
It's just
exactly.
like, I don't expect Chief to be here asking about fire
No.
extinguishers, you gotta make me do it, so.
Yeah, right,
Yeah.
that's exactly.
Pointing over the pirate over there.
Yeah.
of the things I am gonna feed back to her is, I know she carries a lot of data. And
Mhm.
so I think that that's something that we should have at this table.
Definitely,
Try to
yeah.
synthesize that. She does her annual reports for Maine State Library, and that shows your trends. She does monthly reports for trustees. And so it'd be nice, and I know for the last couple of years, she's been here for a couple of years, but she's really been tracking those numbers to try to show the growth and improvement of patrons and usage.
Yeah.
Tied to program. So,
Voters will want to see that too, especially if like there's someone who's never been to the library, they're gonna think that nobody else goes to the library, so if they can see that. You get
Right. Like to know like how many people went to the events at the library and how many at the ones that weren't at the library because it wasn't big enough, numbers like that.
and she's got that. One of the things that we ran into relatively recently, I would contend, is a program that was held at the Grange, but it was on a Saturday, so the library was open and there was ball field activity going on. And it's like, was the location the problem? Was it because it was held at the Grange, was that an obstacle?
Yeah.
And I think an argument could be made both ways, but,
Well, we ended up having it, the second time at the fire station, and we had 7 people, and I think in the course of in between, I kind of heard through the grapevine that perhaps this area is saturated with their presentation. They've been around a while,
Yeah.
and yeah, and just hearing from some people that had seen him already and kind of, so I'm not sure if that might have been a part of it as well, but yeah, that was. But we've got the wreath coming up, December 6th, the wreath, and that's always, I mean, people are excited about that before it even happens. You don't even have to advertise, they ask you, when is it coming, you know, and that'll be at the Grange, because they've got a good setup for it with the tables all pushed together and whatnot. Yeah, but she's got all that info.
An issue. The ball, when the ball field is being used.
That's always an issue, that's why we'll be.
I don't even go to the library. I avoid going to the library and I got into it with a guy the other day. And, I think he was kind of surprised. To tell you the truth.
that you were in that.
Do we?
Well, what the heck?
Mhm.
There's 2 spots. There's 2 spots.
Yeah.
They can't leave them free.
Mhm.
You know, what's the point of having ADA compliance if your patrons have to park wherever they can find a spot, you know? Isn't there something we can do about that?
Build a new library in a fenced-in area where they
Yeah.
control our parking spaces.
Seems like an awful lot of expense.
Yeah. I
Now,
know,
as we-
No, I know. yeah.
Right. That
Well,
was the question I had. Do we have a parking agreement with the school at all? Like,
No.
should we get one before we even think about building this? Or are we just gonna hope they don't mind stuff?
yeah, because if you have that opening, you know, part of the reason for not having that opening
Was to keep them up.
was to keep them out. Well, if you're gonna have the same problem,
Yeah.
you know, so.
There is still like
it's
the
not-
on the street parking, there is like the ability for that, and
Yeah.
you gotta think of, I mean, if you do have, 8 to 10 parking spots. At any given time, how many people are going to be at the library for an event, and then you do have like that other, I don't know if you'll get any sort of, anything in writing about the parking at the school,
I don't see how, that would be a, that'd be a
yeah,
lot.
I don't
That'd be-
even know if that's a fight worth like.
You might get it, but you'll.
Yeah, no, that's not like. You find a spot, you park there, like, it's,
My other question was, more for Richard, down at the site plan review.
Yeah.
Like, how much of that's gonna be going through this plan of ours?
It's supposed to all be compliant, sorry, in the way that the fire department didn't. That.
I didn't build it, I just.
Right, but the fire department was permitted without permits. It didn't go through the site plan review process, so we missed things like buffering with neighbors, we missed.
Fence one.
Buffering, yeah, we missed parking, we missed a lot of different
I was
things.
just curious because
Yeah.
of this entrance, technically, you can't even have an entrance on it too, so. Right, 100 feet within, I
Yeah,
didn't know, as far as like
Good,
parking
good.
spaces, it's gonna be tight, we should have like 14 if it's gonna be 3,000 square feet.
curbing, fire department probably should have curbing on up Main Street.
Probably.
Instead of having all of that section wide straight open, that's all stuff that falls under site plan review. Your parking spaces per square foot. On type of building, but then there's waiver opportunities for things like that, so.
And it's quite elaborate, I think maybe 40 to everybody email, so we gotta go through it. It's quite a document. it'll make you busy. There's just a lot of stuff by
Yeah.
retaining walls and drainage and
Yes,
parking spaces per, you know,
Mhm.
so many
Yeah.
square feet, cause it's a community building and.
yep. Pick out what you like, what you want, and then they tell
Yeah.
you what you really can have, and if you want that bad enough, it's gonna cost this, cause you also have to do that, like, that's the. It's not like building an addition on your house, it's, you know, there's so many more rules, and
This is the guideline, we're gonna have to ask for variance and.
Where you, the waiver request, like the parking, you're gonna be hard pressed to get this square footage of a building and get the parking spaces that you need, even if you wipe out your given space.
I think
Yeah.
it's 12 for 3,000.
I don't know exactly, but it's
can we
aggressive.
be granted like a variance because?
So you ask for a waiver, and I think if you put the waiver with an agreement from the school, probably have it, those types of things.
Sure.
Like up to 30%, I think it was, which is fine.
And
Not that I read it for a week and a half.
I mean, does technically the library we have now, how many does that need to have for? And it technically doesn't have any parking spots since they don't own it, like we
How
have
many
that.
square feet is it?
1,440.
Probably like
Yes.
at least 6, supposed to
It
have.
has none, leave it that it's
Really?
theirs, so.
188, yeah.
We've been paying fast and loose of parking for a while. We got this, yeah, okay.
We just wanna make sure we don't hold ourselves in special needs, you know.
No, we
Do it
don't wanna
right.
get caught in the, no, I
Right.
agree.
I'm good at playing dumb though, so if you need a shoulder.
We play dumb when things off.
So we're going to wait to hear about the select board approval and the consultant before we schedule our next meeting,
Mhm.
and it's.
So I guess you're looking for
business.
Sure.
The only thing that I'll add is that I built out a subsection of the webpage underneath the library page. So that we can put our notes or the concept drafts that we have, those are there so that people that watch this, I think a lot of it's gonna be visual.
Mhm.
Your guiding documents, things like that.
Yeah.
I'm gonna continue to build that out, so norridgewock.gov/library building. And if you have anything that you think would be a benefit to the public, send it over and I'll upload it, so that people have that one-stop shop to
Sure, yeah.
be able to zoom in on it. And I'll probably put something like the site plan review ordinance up there, because we just said, oh, everybody in the community should look at it, so, you know, make it easy for people to grab that.
Norridgewock.gov/library
Library building,
buildings.
further up on your than there.
Oh, you already got it there.
It's a lot, yeah.
Gotcha, right there.
And are we all good to like talk outside of here and all that stuff and wander on the lot together and just. Rip.
Yeah, just don't go with one.
So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of us, so don't.
7, so don't go with 4.
3 is cool, 4 not so much.
Exactly. But no, I mean, I think that's a part of the process, I think, going and make sure that you share that with people, other than that, you're doing your own investigation, you're really you're gaining your own hearing process
Yeah,
by doing stuff like that, so if you're doing it, you know, take a minute to report back at the next meeting, like, oh, I'm going over and check this out, I get concerns about this, or I get concerns about that.
I'd like to go walk it, put my eyes on it.
And maybe if the weather's good before the next meeting, when we get that on the books,
Mhm.
maybe we just say, we know we're gonna meet there and.
Yeah.
Start there for the first 15 minutes or something.
Depends on-
And that might be better, if we have Sebago here, then that might be,
Show them what we're working with.
yeah.
I think they've walked more than we, at this point, they've already been up here, yeah.
Anything else?
I will put a motion into adjourn then.
Second
We'll
that.
adjourn this meeting.